All right, I have something to share with you. This should be better than the last one too. This is version 2. And yeah, that last one was only like 4 minutes, right? So it wasn't really 7 minutes. So when this says that it's 7 minute speech, refined, your full expression, it can never be my full expression either. It's probably not going to be 7 minutes, right? So here we go. At the beginning of this year, I went from being cold, struggling, and honestly not doing very well to having stability, clarity, and momentum again. And the shift didn't come from working harder, it came from something much simpler. I started to love myself, practically. Most of us are taught to live in ways that disconnect us from who we really are. We inherit patterns, scarcity and struggle, staying small and quiet, putting pressure on ourselves to perform, and meeting others' expectations. And we think that that's just life. So we push, we try to fix ourselves, we try to become who we think that we're supposed to be. But inside something feels off. For me, the shift began when I stopped trying to force my life and started giving myself permission to just be. Not to perform, not to prove, just to be. I began to give myself compassion. I let go of inherited patterns. I stopped judging myself and I allowed myself to want what I actually wanted in my heart. And something started to open. It reminds me of the Grinch, right? When his heart grew 3 sizes that day. Actually, that's a whole other thing. We can talk about that another time. But I'll just instead of keeping that as a mystery, I'll share something about that in my abundance game that I play, which expands my imagination in a playful way every day. I imagine what I would do with a certain amount of money, and I let it become real, right? Because it's real imagination. It's not pretend. Um, because I'm the magician, right? So what happens is that I had several shifts as I went through this game over time because the amounts change, right? Sometimes it goes up, sometimes down. And so you deal with the emotions that come up, right? It also helps you prepay for your future and think through things before they actually happen because you're imagining it beforehand, right? And so as the amounts got larger and larger and I was doing different things with them, I learned, right? And I changed different patterns. So one of those, for example, yeah, I thought it was going to be like 1 or 2 sentences, but there was no way to explain it that quickly. So anyway, one of those was just sharing the joy, right? Sharing the abundance. Because at a certain point in the earlier part of it, it was what I could do, what I'm doing with it, and the experiences I'm having, right? Like traveling the world, having fun, and even with other people or with another person, right? But then it got to a point where there was an emptiness feeling to that, right? It's not as meaningful. But once you share the abundance with others, that's increasing the joy because there's more people that are benefiting from it. There's more people that their lives are becoming better, freer, like more peaceful, more enjoyable, and their impact is also being amplified too, right? So that was one of the key shifts, I think, and that was like when your heart grows 3 sizes that day. It's when you share some of the abundance, and it was like, why not? Of course, at a certain point, you want to share it, and like the more you have, the more abundant it is, the more like unlimited or whatever, the more surplus, then the more generous that you're able to be. So it's really cool as you shift into being like a philanthropist or an impact investor. Okay, and in mine, I definitely really focused on restoring humanity, right? Like people coming back to themselves and causing that impact on a global scale. And this is super exciting, and all the clarity that came from it, and designing these places where we can do that, like creative havens as a start. So awesome. So, and yeah, if you would, I'll make an invitation too. If you want to take an abundance game journey with me and others, then comment abundance on this video. And if enough people respond, then we'll do it. Okay. Yeah, so continuing on. Here's what actually changed my life. I started listening to my body, doing what felt good, like simple things, going outside, checking on my moss garden. There isn't one here, but I can go for a walk and like find moss anywhere, right? But back where I lived before, I had this moss garden that I'd created where I brought the moss from other places like in the forest and brought it together, and then I'd water it and stuff, and it would kind of grow and mesh. Different types of moss next to each other would mesh. It was pretty cool. It still is. I got pictures of it, and it's still growing over there, but no one's watering it, right? But at least my cat has a home, a good home in UBC. It got an upgrade. I did too. Okay, and just, yeah, like reading something for just for fun. Like I remember a specific time. A couple of those are coming from that specific memory. There was a time when I was creating something and I'm working on it, and then I took a break, and then I kind of didn't want to continue it. Like I knew what to do, but I didn't want to do the next step right then, right? So then I just kind of looked at the moss garden. I might have like adjusted it a bit, pulled out some grass, like made it look better, and then took a picture of part of it. And like read something from a book, right? Just because that's what I felt like doing. But then I naturally, like automatically, instantly became inspired again because of being in alignment and being receptive. The ideas come, and then I was inspired to continue with that, with whatever idea it was. It didn't have to be what I planned before, because the inspiration, right? A spark is an idea that feels alive. That living inspiration was in me again, and so then I was ready to continue. I actually felt like it. Okay, so I followed that inspiration. Not big plans, just small sparks. An idea, a feeling, something I'm curious about. I acted on them. I created for fun. No outcome, no expectation, just expression. And what the heck? This doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like safety and peace. Another safety and space, another big piece. Like I don't think I'm supposed to say the headings, right? So I skipped that. Like the last section was the process, your framework, and so on. Your meaning mine, not yours. It meant mine. But then it's like, anyway, so another big piece of it is that I created safety for myself. Like wrapping myself in a blanket. It was kind of cold in the yurt, right? So that was important. And of course, there's a wood stove. But the thing is that it was actually, the funny thing of why the wood stove has a small firebox, no, yeah, why it's like that, and which means you have to keep feeding it. You can't just leave it overnight, like it's not going to keep going. It'll go out. So that makes it colder, right? Because it's hours of it being out and cold. So it takes hours to warm up in the beginning of the day. But it's because the firebox is so small. And so you have to keep feeding it pretty often, like every half hour to hour. That's because that stove was actually made for burning coal, not wood. It was like from a long time ago. And it's a neighbor's one that I borrowed. Well, we can give it back to him. And he had a spare one anyway, of the same kind, or something like it. So anyway, wrapping myself in a blanket, sitting by the fire, and I had the cat, right? I could pet the cat if the cat wanted to be petted, right? But I didn't always want to pet the cat. It's like, fuck you, right? Go over there. All right, and I could just be like, you're already lovely enough over there. Just like do your own thing. Slowing down, listening to music or like a billionaire brainwave audio, just letting my nervous system relax. Oh yeah, or listening to an Abraham Hicks Vortex meditation. Those are great. Definitely a go-to for many years since 2010. Because when you feel safe, your true self comes forward. Oh yeah, what's the result? Over time, my energy came back, my creativity returned, my confidence grew, not because I forced it, but because I stopped working against myself, right? I went with the flow of my own inner being. Okay, and also I realized something else too. Part of this was already in me. My dad was someone who lived life his own way. That's what inspired me about him, by the way. He didn't follow the expected path. Well, he did follow what he expected, but he didn't follow what other people expected. He chose a different life. He didn't go into his father's stationery business. He didn't try to become a gentleman, right? He became a farmer, which is what he wanted to do. A writer, a storyteller, also one who guides people in whitewater kayaking all around Mexico. Which he started when I was 4, and it was pretty cool. But when we just started that, he got this van, and then we were gonna go and do this thing, and he was creating the idea of it, right? And we picked up a dog from the SPCA, and it was in the seat behind me, and then it puked into the seat next to me. Like, I didn't know what that was, and I'm like, what is this? And then, so we called him Pookie. Yeah, so, so a little while ago, in the recent years, I think I don't know, it was 2024 or 2023 or whatever the first time, but the last time was 2025. I brought him to the library, and he would read his stories out loud to people. He didn't want to do that over the internet, right? He wanted to do that in person, and see their shining eyes, right? He wants to like share the story with them and see how they respond. Like when he shocks them, trigger them or something. It's just pretty funny. I had someone like that works at the library say something to me when I was in the grocery store when I just saw her, about like something that he said was kind of shocking. Well, yeah, it's our dad, right? And when he did that, yeah, when he told the stories in the library, you could feel the joy in him. Absolutely. He wasn't performing. He was expressing who he was. Like, for example, in the story, The Elm Tree, which I look forward to sharing with you. And of course, that stayed with me. What I discovered is this: you don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to force your life. You just need to return to yourself. And that happens through self-love, presence, and following what feels alive. And here's why this matters. Because there's so many people right now who feel stuck. They feel disconnected. They know that there's more, but they can't access it. They think they can't access it, actually. And the answer isn't more pressure. It's not more effort. It's coming back to yourself. So if I could say just one thing, and don't forget this, right? If you just remember one thing from this, remember this. It would be, stop trying to become someone else. Start listening to what feels true to you. Follow what feels alive to you in your heart, and give yourself permission to be free. Love is the answer, but not the way that we were taught. It starts with how you treat yourself. Thank you.